the alley-oops at Kezar to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the show. Time to talk about edge rushers again because the 49ers, maybe, linked to a player like Danielle Hunter. Now, it's only been brought up, of course, by several different groups, but it seems like the 49ers are brought up with every single player that ends up being on the trade market. But people have been hitting me up. Hey, what do you think about Danielle Hunter? Do you think the 49ers should trade for Danielle? I thought, hey, with all the news coming out today about him potentially skipping mandatory minicamps, it got the idea rolling. Should the 49ers potentially reach out to a Vikings organization they have a pretty good relationship with, GM to GM, and see what exactly Danielle Hunter would cost? Now, the reports came out today, and this came from Jeremy Fowler, that Danielle Hunter would have real trade value and it would take a 2+. So that's a second-round pick plus more to get Danielle Hunter, who's going to be going into his last year of this current contract. He's been in the league for 7 years. So contract number 2. And what's the money going to look like for a player that's 28 years old? He's looking for an extension. I think he would take it from the Vikings if they were able to work it out and get the money right. But when it comes to Danielle Hunter, he might want to be on the move. It was just earlier this offseason, that Zadarius Smith, edge rusher for the Vikings, wanted to be on the move. And they said, hey, we're not going to trade Zadarius Smith. We don't want to move on from him. We want him to be a part of this team. And Zadarius Smith kept working his way out. We talked on this show about the fact that Zadarius Smith had put his house up for sale, so it was a real option for him to be traded. So, hey, 49ers potentially looking for a player to be opposite of Nick Bosa. Hey, that made a lot of sense. Now, Zadarius Smith ended up getting traded to Cleveland. Not a lot of draft capital going that way. But with Danielle Hunter, he's a younger player. With Zadarius Smith over 30, Danielle Hunter is still at a prime age of 28. Yeah, he's getting close to 30, so signing a player to a long-term extension at that age, probably not the best. But Hunter's coming off a very good season. He played in all 17 games and had 10.5 sacks for the Minnesota Vikings, who played really well. But I think it's easy to tell that the Vikings team is in a little bit of a rebuild. They've slowly been shipping players off like Zadarius Smith. They recently waived Dalvin Cook. So they're definitely moving on. Adam Thielen's gone. There's others as well. And I think that right now Danielle Hunter sees that. So they're either going to have to pay him very handsomely to stay, or more than likely he's going to want to move. And of course, missing mandatory minicamps will definitely get your attention. You are fined at a very high pace for doing that. But Danielle Hunter presents a real option for the San Francisco 49ers. We've started to see the secondary market for these defensive ends that are now available, these edge rushers. Players are starting to go. And Leonard Floyd went. We've seen Clark go to the Denver Broncos, and the money is not that expensive, about $5 million. So what would Danielle Hunter cost the 49ers in 2023 if they made a trade? $5.5 million. The 49ers have a little over $10 million in salary cap space. Salary cap wise, it makes a lot of sense. If Danielle Hunter is expecting the trade to coincide with an extension, that might be where you're getting into some problems. Also, are you really willing to give up a second and more to get Danielle Hunter for a 1-year rental? I would say 49ers' recent history proves they are. We've seen this with other players the 49ers have been willing to do and reach out to and trade for, like Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders, they gave up a 3rd and 4th round pick for a receiver halfway through the year that ended up moving on. Of course, when these players go out and get contracts in the open market as free agents, you get compensation back. So the 49ers could easily get a comp pick back for Danielle Hunter when he inevitably signed a big deal during the offseason. But what would make Danielle Hunter want to come to the 49ers? Simple. You want your numbers to continue to go up. This is a guy that in a couple of seasons had 10.5 sacks, in 14.5 sacks in 2 other seasons. He's a very accomplished pass rusher. 2021, he was injured, missed some games, played 7, and still had a very good sack number. So Danielle Hunter's a guy that can get after the quarterback at a high level. Playing opposite of Bosa with Armstead and Javon Hargrave is exactly what the doctor ordered if you want to go out and get even more money. All you have to do is look at what the 49ers did with Charles Omenihu and Samson Ebukam. Both of them went out and got double-digit numbers as far as money, with the sack totals that were around 4.5 and 5 sacks, respectively. So Danielle Hunter's situation could be as easy as going to the 49ers, playing really well, getting double-digit sacks, and then going out on the open market and getting more money. The problem is, right now, what we've seen from the open market for edge rushers is there's either a lot of money for the select few or not a lot of money for a bunch. There's still a lot of really good football players available on the edge. Hunter being available in trade value is awesome because he's a double-digit guy. But do the 49ers really want to give up draft capital that they've finally got back after all the trades that they've made for Trey Lance, for Christian McCaffrey? Do they really want to trade these draft picks to go ahead and get a player like Danielle Hunter? You look at the open market, there's still players available, good players. But do you want to pay $10 million for Jadeveon Clowney? No. Do you really want to, go out and get some of the other guys that are available to high-priced contracts? Probably not. $5.5 million is a pretty good price. Now, Yannick Ngakoue is looking for a long-term deal, and so is Danielle Hunter. But could you talk Danielle Hunter into taking 1 year with your team and at $5.5 million and then letting him go in free agency? They could make a similar deal like they did with Trent Williams and tell him, hey, we won't franchise you. We will allow you to leave on the open market next year. Could be a deal they do. Well, what price is steep? Is too steep. I mean, are you going to give a second and fourth for Danielle Hunter? If that turns into double-digit sacks opposite of Nick Bosa, and that turns into a world championship, was it worth it? Absolutely. So it's an interesting prospect going out and trading for Danielle Hunter. If you believe you could get similar stats from a guy like Justin Houston, or you believe that Drake Jackson and Cleveland Farrell can do the job, then you don't make the move. But what are we talking about here? We're talking about unproven commodities. Yeah, I like the way Drake Jackson's been working. He looks fantastic. And all the players and coaches are saying the right things about him. And Cleveland Farrell looks like a guy that's going to be good against stopping the run and also could possibly be a lot better in Chris Kaceric's defense now that he can get after the quarterback without having to read or hesitate. You brought in Robert Beal in draft. So you've got eligible players. But do you have that guy? Danielle Hunter's a proven commodity. He's a guy that you can count on to get double-digit sacks. He's done it on 4 different occasions. Opposite of Bosa next to Hargrave, you got to think that would happen again. So the question is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't know. It's a tough decision to make. If as a coaching staff you believe Drake Jackson's ready, you don't make this move. If you believe you could wait and pull in one of these free agents at a cheaper price, then you do that. It's smart for the 49ers to roll over as much of that money as they can. Plus, you still want to have about $5 million in operating costs during the season to make any moves that are necessary. So is Danielle Hunter a player the 49ers should trade for? I think if you were just looking at talent, yes. But when you're looking at all the obstacles that you're going to have in 2024 with the salary cap and the fact that you just don't know what coaches honestly think about Drake Jackson, gives you a chance to pause and think. So is Danielle Hunter for sure coming to San Francisco? I have no idea. But one thing I do know, after listening to Nick Bosa talk, they all understand the 49ers and John Lynch will do whatever they believe is necessary to win a championship. Wasn't surprising that Javon Hargrave came to the San Francisco 49ers, according to Nick Bosa. And I don't think it's surprising that the 49ers went out and got a guy like Christian McCaffrey. Now, was it actually surprising at the time? Yes. So should we be surprised if the 49ers go make a splash, go get a Danielle Hunter, go get a Chase Young? I don't know. But I think Danielle Hunter, even though he's a little bit older, is more enticing than Chase Young. Young is, yes, another year removed off the ACL, but hasn't proven that he's back. Hunter has proven that. Will he become a San Francisco 49er? I think it's a little unclear, but I think it's always nice to watch and see what the 49ers do. Doesn't mean it happens today, but with the leverage that Hunter is providing himself and the way Zadarius Smith forced himself out, I think Danielle Hunter could be on the move pretty soon. Where it's going to be, who knows? But I think it's an exciting proposition of where he could possibly land, and playing next to Nick Bosa, I'm sure, would be very, very exciting. Let me know what you think about Danielle Hunter. Do you think he's a player you would like to have come to San Francisco and play for the 49ers? What would you be willing to give up? Would it be a second and a fifth? Would it be a 2 and a 4? The 49ers have proven that they will definitely pay what they believe a player's worth. Christian McCaffrey, 2, 3, 4, 5. Emmanuel Sanders, a 3 and a 4. Trent Williams, a couple of picks as well. So the 49ers are definitely willing to pay the piper. Would you pay the piper for a 1-year rental knowing you're going to get a comp pick back? Would you give up a 2 knowing you could potentially get a 3rd-round comp pick? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Really curious what everyone thinks. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next time, stay safe. And remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.